Attention here. Good morning. Welcome to our special agenda Board of Supervisors meeting for December 12th. And I haven't asked anybody to help me say the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you'll join me in standing up and pledging the allegiance to the flag. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So you may have noticed there's only 3 of us up here. We have somebody on vacation and somebody not feeling so hot, so we will do our best to take care of the business for the county today. And with that, I just need to let you know that we had to pull item number 15 under facilities management. We're not going to be able to do that one. Okay, so before we do oral communications, I just want to set the tone here and let you know that our board appreciates communication with the public, and this time, oral communications, is a time when the public can discuss matters that are on your mind. And the Brown Act prohibits dialogue from the board members with the public during this time. It is our time to sit back and listen to what you have to say. At every meeting, I encourage all to be courteous and respectful in the boardroom. The First Amendment does allow members of the public to say what is on their minds, and it also allows people to say things that are not true. My expectation as your board chair this year is that the public conduct themselves not only respectfully, but truthfully. As most of you know, I also add an inspiration of kindness. I pick a quote from somebody either from the past or present, and today's quote comes from an author and personal growth advisor named Barbara DeAngelis, and here's what she had to say. Love and kindness are never wasted. They always make a difference. They bless the one who receives them, and they bless you, the giver. And with that, I'll invite you to come up to the podium if you have some oral communications for anything that is not on the current agenda.
Good morning, and I guess that's me. I'm John Flynn, your political watchdog. Take a bite out of crime. Woof, woof. And enough with that. I want to repeat what happened last Tuesday, that you have, that your government, you borrowed $10 million out of the resolution. You did a resolution on adopting 12221, adopting a performance of self-insurance pursuant to the government code section 24156. You were not legally holding office. You never posted your bond, and when you took office, took your oath on January 4th of 2021. You were supposed to post bonding after you won the election, got your certificate from Debbie Bautista. You had 7 weeks to go get your bonding, and you didn't do that. And Anaya Kirk, on the afternoon of December 5th last week, he had a lively conversation with Ty Robin, and he admitted in the board, I heard it, Arthur Smith heard it, a few other people heard it, he was not bonded. He never had any bonding when he took his oath, so you're illegally holding office right now. It's illegal. And you gave me a code at the end, which is illegal. I mean, it was legal for you to give that code, but you do have to. There is a U.S. California Supreme Court ruling from 1972. You are supposed to be bonded before you take your oath. And when you took your oath and said the whole thing, you said you just defend the U.S. Constitution and the California Constitution. That would be 1850. When it came into the state, you had to be bonded then. You still have to be bonded. And when you said, so help me God, you committed a felony right there because you weren't in office. And And then you did the second one, the second resolution you did was at 1:30 on December 14th of 2021, you did redistricting of the maps, illegal because you were not legally holding office. You couldn't do that. So that's on that part. And that has to go back to the original map, so maybe 2010, and for the voting and everything. Now, also, I'd like to know why you have 2 confidential secretaries in Tuolumne County, and of the 58 counties in the state of California, Tuolumne County is the only one that has 2 confidential secretaries. Why? This county. What's confidential, and this putting out a FOIA request for that public information request. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Wade Melcher. I live on Columbia Way. Thank you for the opportunity to come out and talk to you today.
We need to turn up his mic.
It's the first time I've ever heard that.
Thank you.
I'm here to speak about the homeless shelter that's going in on Columbia Way. I live 2 doors down from it. I'd like to remind the board that this is in front of a school bus stop. It actually takes 2 buses to stop at that school bus stop to pick up all the children that go down that are waiting there in the mornings. It's also the route that most of the high school students who don't drive yet that walk to school walk down that street. Last time I was here, I had spoken that there was a good chance that putting a homeless shelter across from our houses was going to drop the property prices. Another gentleman came up and said that he'd read a review that had said that they had seen no evidence of property prices dropping. So in the future, when I choose to sell the investment of my house to a family, I'll have the ability to tell them, that family, that the homeless people living across the street won't affect their housing prices at all, and that the supervision for that housing project is somebody in an office somewhere, and that they should be secure in the fact that legally the people that move in there can't have background checks. There won't be any way to tell before they move in if there's child molesters or what their criminal records are. And we were told at the private meeting that once they're put in as residents, that they can't be evicted for any problems they cause in the neighborhood. It's a bit of concern for the people that live in that neighborhood. Went back and looked at the Krabari house, which was used as an example, and I believe I saw that it's not within the Sonora city. It's the sheriff's department that responds to problems at Krabari. And I saw at least 6 incidences where they were dispatched to that residence. This is not, it's a very family-friendly neighborhood. This is not a place that we want to have experiments run to see if homeless people can fit into the neighborhood or not. Especially seeing as the only recourse we were told is call the police. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Come on up.
I'm sorry, I'm late, and I was going to read this off. First of all, I want to say that I don't think that's fair to us in the community that you're ramrodding this through. This is what I think. You've been working on it, but I just heard about it. It's the city, no notices from the city, no notices from the county. One notice 2 weeks ago, and it wasn't even a meeting. It was just like an informal thing. I feel like you're just trying to put that meeting in there so that you can say, well, we did this. But I also heard that you on Columbia Way, that property is already in escrow. Is that true? that property is already in escrow and it's just pending closure from these meetings? Okay, I don't know if anybody knows that. I've lived in a lot of different places all over the United States in my life. And I know that when you put something in like that the area gets really ghetto. It's happened in Modesto. It's happened to other places I've lived around the country. You can't just disrupt a small community at the last minute without giving us time to put up a proper defense. You're not out there every day with us. You don't have to wake up every day or deal with these people on the street every day, okay? I think that's not right for you to shove that in our face. You don't want it in your backyard. You didn't find any properties in your backyards or anybody, I bet, that works in the city's backyards. Well, maybe. But the thing is you're just ramrodding it down. You didn't give us enough time to prepare. And let me just see if I can get this up. I didn't have time. Anyway, I am sending, I can't find my thing. I'm sending letters to all of the district supervisors with pictures of, I was researching all the mini homes, all the small communities that they have built for the homeless. And the homeless are thriving in those communities. You can read them. They're all over the United States. They're thriving in these little communities just for them. They're helping each other. Social services can't do the job. You think you can hire somebody that's had a couple of years of schooling and think, oh yeah, they're gonna go out and help all these people that have been going through life trying to survive with, you know, a few, oh, we'll be there for a few minutes. No, you're not gonna do that. They need a chance, and they need a chance in a place that they can thrive. And in our neighborhood, it's not a chance for them to thrive. It's just a chance for our neighborhood to go down. And I really am adamantly against it. So I'm just going to fight until it goes, you stop, maybe even after.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I am also here for the Columbia Way project. My name's Alicia. I'm literally kitty corner from this project. As I stated in the last meeting, I've been a homeowner for about 13 years, going on 14 years, and I once used a city project as a young individual to purchase a home, and I was super excited to be a part of this community, right? So I continued to invest. You know, just doing some research, Mr. Campbell had mentioned the Cabrini house, so I did a little research, not a lot, I didn't dig deep at all. But I did see since September there was about 11 calls for either the sheriffs or complaints or, you know, theft being reported, et cetera. So that's kind of concerning as far as what we could possibly bring into the, you know, right here downtown Sonora, right, where we have thousands of tourists and, you know, young kids down the street from a high school. So that's just that perception I'm a little worried about. Do we really want all that activity right downtown Sonora? Some of the reasoning for the placement for this home is to be close to resources. However, the other projects completely contradict that. So why couldn't we do the same thing with this project on the outskirts of the town? The Cabrini house is at the end of Jamestown on a dead-end road for the most part, right? So, you know, is it not? I was looking at the road, so depending on placement, but it's still outskirts of Jamestown for the most part. You know, just in these past few weeks, I've noticed, you know, our Christmas tree display and all that such, but it's also occupied by the homeless and some displaying some of those veterans' hats and flags and such. So I'm a little nervous that those are going to be my possible future neighbors. So that's a huge concern, right? You know, greatly worried for me and my family's safety, right? As anybody would. You know, regardless of who's occupying the project, I strongly just urge you to reconsider the placement of this. There's been, you know, if we do move forward, I just ask that we move forward in a cohesive way. I work for a huge big box corporation, so I understand the business need, but I also understand to empathize with our customers. And the customers are us in that community already. So working cohesively to figure out how is it going to be maintained? Are we going to have people maybe monitoring, doing weekly, monthly check-ins? Are these individuals going to be urged to contribute, to find a job, to do community service, something that we can see a positive benefit to contributing to at least the community that they are living in? We've all met each other just recently just because of this. So if we're going to do this, let's work cohesively rather than feeling like we're being like strong armed into our future neighbors across the street. So that's all I ask. So, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up. Come on up.
So I just want to let you know that you're doing this right in front of my house. I'm a young single mother. I have 3 children right there, and I don't want those people right in front of my house. You're not doing any background checks on these people. You're not doing any drug testing on these people. You're going to have loitering. You're going to have people smoking and wafting to my house. I think that's called, let's see, people call it something here. You're within 2,500 feet of the high school. It's about 800 feet to the high school. Just so you know, you don't know if you're putting pedophiles in there or not, and that is illegal. Just so you know, I will sue you if I have people smoking outside my house or walking up and down doing drugs. I'm going to sue the county. Just so you know. There's a thing called peaceful enjoyment, and if you guys keep me from having peaceful enjoyment right in front of my house because you're putting these kind of people in there, I will sue the county, just so you know. These people could be sex offenders. You don't know if they're on Megan's Law because you're not doing any checks, okay? I'm busy. You didn't even send anything out to anybody, which you could be sued for at this point, too. You gave people right next to the building the information. That was all. Nobody in the community. This is a very peaceful, family-oriented community, and I don't have time for other people that are not focusing on what I'm focusing on in my neighborhood. Do you understand that? Like, would you want this in front of your house? I don't think so. I don't want it in front of mine. It needs to be out towards the end of the highway where it's not going to bother anybody's normal functioning lives. Sorry, I ran here, and I have to go back to work, so I can barely breathe at this point. You're going to have these people molesting and bothering, impeding people's productive lives that have normal lives, that we shouldn't have to even bother doing this at all. So yes, please do not put it in front of my house. I live right there, and that's very inconsiderate. There's just no way you're going to do that. I'm going to tell you right now, I will be the first person to sue this county if you put that in front of my house. Okay, and I'm done talking.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, esteemed board. I wasn't going to actually annoy you this morning, just sit and listen, but the passion of my constituents here sort of demands a response. And I would just like to remind you that this really is a forcing of people you don't want in your neighborhoods into the already overcrowded and overburdened city. And I would really ask you, beg you, if it would make any difference, to please reconsider this. You hear the passion and the fear of the people involved most directly. And once again, the city of Sonora opposes this. I'm saying this as the mayor of Sonora, and we would really like you to reconsider. So the city is very small. The county is very big. Thank you very much.
Just for a point of clarification, Mayor, I've heard a lot of comments since you're speaking on behalf of the city and behalf of your constituents. I've heard a lot of comments opposed to a homeless shelter. I'm not aware of a homeless shelter going in on Columbia Way. I am aware of veterans housing on Columbia Way. Is that what you're opposed to, is the veterans housing project?
What we are opposed to as the city is the county taking away our self-determination and control over our destiny. That is the point of opposition, not the who, but the manner in which the county is approaching the entire problem.
The problem of housing homeless veterans?
The problem of putting more and more people who are homeless, irregardless, that's poor English, sorry, regardless of how you choose to designate them. These are people who we were told by the leadership at the prior meeting, I think it was on the 27th, that they cannot be vetted for criminal or any other undesirable activity.
I appreciate it.
I'm gonna cut this right here, because
Apologies.
we're
Thank you
not
for the
supposed to have the back
Okay.
and forth.
Right.
But I
I
appreciate your
answered the
comments.
question.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, welcome.
My name is Chris Wilson. I am here also to oppose the project on Columbia Way. I stand before you as a dedicated member of the community, deeply invested in its well-being. Today, I wish to revisit that critical issue of the proposed housing choice voucher program, urging a continued and thoughtful consideration of its potential implications. As we delve into the details of the housing choice voucher program, the concern over property values remains paramount. The earlier reference to studies underscore the need for a comprehensive analysis of how subsidized housing might influence property values in our community. I implore the council to ensure that any decision made takes into account the broader economic impact of homeowners in the vicinity. Public safety remains a cornerstone of our community's foundation. My previous speech emphasized the importance of thorough background checks to mitigate the potential risk associated with criminal activity and substance abuse. Reiterating this point, I ask the council to prioritize the safety and security of our residents. Let us explore ways to strike a balance between compassion and the well-being of our community. It is essential to acknowledge the pulse of the community, which has been resoundingly negative in the response of the proposed housing choice voucher program. To build a bridge between the aspirations of the program and the concerns of our residents, I propose a renewed effort to engage with that community. A transparent and inclusive dialogue can pave the way for a more harmonious resolution that accommodates both the needs of the less fortunate and the sentiments of the existing community. In considering alternative locations, we must also address the valid apprehensions raised about the proximity of the proposed housing near a school and a school bus stop. The potential impact on the learning environment and the safety of our students and faculty deserves careful scrutiny. Let us explore alternative sites that strike a balance between providing affordable housing and ensuring the security of our educational institutions. In conclusion, I humbly request the county to revisit the proposed placement, employing a nuanced and thorough assessment of all factors involved. Our collective responsibility lies in finding solutions that uplift the less fortunate while safeguarding the interests and well-being of our community. I implore you to actively seek alternative locations and prioritize the concerns raised by our community. Once again, I express my gratitude for your attention in this crucial matter. Democracy thrives on the voices of its citizens, and as elected officials, you bear the responsibility of safeguarding those voices. Let transparency and accountability guide your decisions as we collectively work towards a solution that respects the principles of democracy and meets the needs of both the vulnerable and the established members of our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Robbie Bergstrom with Economic Development. And I'd like to mention that tomorrow is the next Discover Tuolumne County Businesses event at Nature's Whole Food Depot, Wednesday, December 13th at 2 o'clock. There is plenty of room available if you would like to attend. If you would like to, please RSVP to me at 209-533-5532 or email me at rbergstrom, RBERGSTROM @co.tuolumne.ca.us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, good morning. I am speaking for 145 Columbia Way, which is directly across from 136 Columbia Way. I am the son of the property owner, Jared and Amy Dunn, mom and dad. We've been there for about 20 years going on now, and we are concerned about the future property value to the neighboring homes. We are requesting a professional appraisal report of how this homeless shelter, veterans homeless shelter, will affect the property values in the neighboring vicinity. It seems obvious that the creation of a very dense housing of past homeless and jobless men is not a benefit to the neighborhood. The area is mostly family with kids. All single men with a troubled past is concerning for us to have moved in close to us. It will definitely change the local area from a light commercial district to a dense single-room occupancy area. The lack of a background check definitely does make us nervous about felons, criminals being housed, and up to 14 men in a family neighborhood. Therefore, the 145 Columbia Way House and the Dunn family is very strongly opposed to having a veterans homeless shelter opened up right across from our street. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Sean Hembry. I am your Water and Natural Resource Administrative Analyst, and I wanted to bring 2 points of clarification. First, there is an update to consent calendar item number 7, Serial 2.0, which will be deliberated on today. This is a comment letter. The Board of Supervisors Natural Resource Advisory Committee had made several recommendations in this letter, one of which was mistakenly omitted from the letter. In the name of full transparency, there's a copy of the updated letter on the dais for each supervisor and several copies at the back of the room. The updated text is highlighted. Also, I wanted to acknowledge that when the board approved the natural resource analyst position, they requested regular incremental reports regarding the status of issues and work pertaining to natural resources and the Tuolumne County Water Agency. There are a number of pertinent topics and actions that I will bring in a more comprehensive report early in 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm not seeing any other comments, so we will close the oral communications and move on to the consent calendar. And Heather, if you'll please read all those consent calendar items.
Item number 1, adopting resolution 111-23, authorizing the sheriff to apply for the county and the county administrator to accept an award of the California Department of Parks and Recreation, Division of Boating and Waterways for the Boating Safety and Enforcement Financial Aid Program for fiscal year 2024-25, authorizing the county administrator to sign. Item number 2, adopting resolution 112-23, approving the receipt of grant funding from the Off-Highway Vehicle Grant through the State of California Department of Parks and Recreation and authorizing the sheriff to submit all documents. Item number 3, approving amendment number 2 to the agreement for professional services Solid Waste Division Consulting with Bryce Howard for $35,000 budgeted in the Solid Waste Compliance Fund. Item number 4, awarding a contract in the amount of $459,000 to Joe Cover and Sons, Inc. to perform the work as shown in IFB number 1775, CSA-PRD, snow removal and de-icing services, 2023 through 2025, 2028, and authorizing the chair to sign included in the fiscal year 23-24 budget. Item number 5, adopting resolution 113-23, authorizing the submission of a grant to the California State Parks Office of Grants and Local Services Grant Program for the amount of $591,674 for the creation and implementation of a new Recreation Department Outdoor Education and Adventure Program at the Sonora Library home base, and authorizing the county administrator to sign all related documents. Adopting resolution 114-23, authorizing the submission of a grant to the California State Parks Office of Grants and Local Services Grant Program for the amount of $630,182 for the creation and implementation of a new Recreation Department Outdoor Education and Adventure Program at the Groveland home base, and authorizing the county administrator to sign all related documents. Item number 7, approving a comment letter to USFS Stanislaus regarding Serial 2.0 proposed scope of actions. Item number 8, accepting the donation of a used vehicle from PG&E Corporation to Tuolumne County Facilities Management through the PG&E Corporation Surplus Equipment Donation Program at no cost by recognizing the revenue of $8,565 to donations 0001107-100-496000 and increase the appropriations to vehicles 0001107-100-5430004 $8,565 in the fiscal year 23-24 budget and authorizing the county administrator to sign all related documents. Item 9, accepting the resignation of Laloni Rule from the Oak Grove Cemetery District Board of Trustees and directing the clerk of the board to send a letter of appreciation and post a notice of vacancy. Item number 10, accepting the resignation of Dee Keschner from the Tuolumne County First Five Commission and directing the clerk of the board to send a letter of appreciation and post a notice of vacancy. Item 11, adopting Resolution 115-23 to approve the appointment of the Health and Human Services Agency Director as the public guardian, conservator, and administrator for Tuolumne County. Item 12, accepting the resignation of B.Z. Smith from the Historic Preservation Review Commission and directing the clerk of the board to send a letter of appreciation. Item number 13, approving the appointment of Hua Zhang as the discretionary representative to the Tuolumne County Child Care Planning Council for a term to expire on June 30, 2024.
Thank you. Does any member wish to pull an item? Any board member?
I'd like to pull item 7 for further discussion.
Pull item number 7.
And then I just have one brief comment on item number 10.
And I don't have anything to pull. We've already, well, that wasn't on the consent calendar. Okay. So the next question is comments. So you mentioned a comment. Yep. Go ahead.
2 comments, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just wanted to offer the sincerest thanks of the board to Dee Keschner for her service on the First Five Committee, and hoping that she gets some great rest and skiing in her retirement, and as well offer our thanks to B.Z. Smith, who's been who's well known in the community as a storyteller, and she served the Historic Preservation Review Committee very well in that time that she served there. So I just wanted to thank those 2 people for their service.
Thank you. And Supervisor Kirk, did you have any comments on anything?
It was just going to be on 7, but Supervisor Campbell pulled it, so we'll just...
Okay. And I have 3 comments. I wanted to make 2 of which I think you've already made, but I wanted to thank Laloni Rule for her service for the Oak Grove Cemetery District, which is in District 4. And I join in Supervisor Campbell's appreciation for Dee Keschner and also for B.Z. Smith, who happens to live in District 4. Both stand-up women that do a lot for the community. Thank you so much. Okay, so we will go to item number, well, let's see. Let's go ahead and vote on the consent calendar except for item number 7 after we call for a public comment. Any public comment on the consent calendar for the exception of number 7? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back for a motion.
Chair, I'd like to move to approve items 1 through 6 and 8 through 13 on the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Okay, it was moved by Supervisor Campbell and seconded by Supervisor Kirk. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Well, that's a 3, and we have 0 abstaining and 0 opposing. All right, on to number 7.
Okay.
Supervisor Campbell.
Yes, thank you. And the reason I pulled this item was because of the added language to the letter. I was supportive of the letter, but the highlighted statement says we discourage the use of prescribed fire in most settings unless initial thinning of heavy fuels is done first. This will help reduce the risk of damage to trees not identified for removal from high intensity fire. My issue is with the words we discourage the use of prescribed fire in most settings. I think that's anathema to all modern fuels management practices. I think prescribed burning, as we've learned, is an absolutely necessary and natural process in the forest that has been removed over the past century. And to their great credit, the Forest Service and CAL FIRE and our other partners in nonprofit groups have brought prescribed burning back into the forest, I think in ways that have been very effective. We had 13,000 acres burned this year, and if you've viewed those lands, they're in much better shape, much reduced fire risk than they were prior, and in a much more healthy position. I don't want to call onto a paragraph without offering a solution that hopefully can be a compromise. My issue, again, is with the discouraging of prescribed fire. I don't think we should be doing that. However, the second half of the paragraph that talks about reducing the risk of damage to trees identified for removal in high-intensity fire, I think that's absolutely something I can agree with, and even the idea that we need to thin heavy fuels prior to burning. My alternative version of this paragraph would be thinning of fuels should be done to help reduce the risk of damage to trees, not identified for removal from higher intensity fire. That would be my alternative, but I'm willing to discuss it. And thank you for hearing my concerns.
Can you respond?
Yeah, I've called Sean Hembry. I don't see him in the boardroom. Here he comes.
While he comes, I can
Yeah.
shed some light out, though. No, and I appreciate your comments, Kimball, because I actually completely agree with you, and this probably doesn't do a very good job of painting the picture. I have all people, we've all stated we need fire back in the forest. The reason why we call this out specifically for Cerro 2.0 is because in Cerro the first Cerro, what was happening is the contractors and the folks doing the work on the ground, they were planning to thin certain parts of Cerro, but then what would happen is fire would be introduced, and it would come through, it would do its thing, but then the thinning portion would come through after the fact, and a lot of the ash and the debris was ruining some of the equipment. But then it was also you're bidding on a project to thin it, but then when fire comes in, it changes it. So it was creating, I don't want to speak for Sean can come up in a minute, but it was creating issues with what people originally bid on and what the work was originally going to look like, and then how it's changed. And so what we're saying in 2.0 is we want fire. We absolutely want fire. And like if there's a lightning strike that's out of our control, we still support that. But for what we're saying is if that pod over there has been prescribed to do thinning, let's not introduce fire yet. Let's let the thing play out, and then if fire is introduced later, we completely support that. So it was more about planning, more about people who are doing the work on the ground and trying to protect some of their equipment. This isn't like a general statement to fire being introduced on the ground in general. It's just specifically for these things that are being contracted out. It created a lot of these comments were because we're learning from 1.0. We're listening to the U.S. Forest Service folks. We're listening to the contractors. We're listening to the foresters, and we're just trying to fine-tune some things moving forward. So, Sean, if you want to add on to that at all, but I just want to be really clear. We support fire. We're just trying to make sure it's introduced at the right time.
Let's let Sean,
Sure.
because it was a whole committee that came to this decision, and I'd like to hear what our analyst has to say before we continue this conversation.
Correct, and what was already alluded to by Supervisor Kirk, with heavy fuels, there is a risk of high-intensity fires which can damage the trees that have not been identified for removal, and so we want to make sure that the trees that remain are healthy, and so if there is prior thinning, pre-treatment, then before the fire, then that is going to ensure that the safety of those trees. Prescribed fire is an excellent maintenance strategy. It's very cost-effective relative to other treatments, but not necessarily a first phase treatment in most settings. However, there may be some conditions that would allow for that based on individual site conditions. That's not necessarily the appropriate first response. So we were just making a note of that. And since it had happened in Cerro in this last year, we wanted to make a note of that for future projects. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I respect that position of my colleague and the committee. I might suggest my main issue is that we are saying we discourage the use of prescribed fire.
So I have a suggestion for change.
And I have a suggestion that we say, and before we get to your suggestion, that we say we support the use of prescribed fire instead of discourage if initial thinning of heavy fuels is done first.
I think that's
Is that okay?
That's appropriate. Yeah.
Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I could see how reading it from your point of view is, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm
let's-
just.
We do support it, so let's say we
Prescribed
support it.
fire is the wave of the future. Well, it's the wave of the past, but also the wave of the future in terms of fuels management. It's the only way to do it in a cost-effective way in many applications. And I get what you're talking about. But
Yeah, I think properly sequenced is what is
So make
asked.
it we'll just twist it, make it a positive thing. We
Yeah.
support
so
it.
we support the use of prescribed fire if initial thinning in most settings. If initial thinning of heavy fuels is done first, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you.
So I'll make them. Oh, I guess public
We
comment.
have to ask for public comment. So if you'll come forward, please, if you have a comment about this. Good morning again.
I speak to you as a timber faller who's worked almost my entire adult life in the Stanislaus, and I have fought on many fires as well. So first, I support this letter and the support and the entire program. The efforts being made are the most significant and important in my lifetime. I don't think anything like this has been done before in a meaningful way to the effects of fire. So that's heavy fuels that you speak about, but you have to think also of ladder fuels, because that is what will put it up into the tops. And many, many prescribed burns have gotten away as weather conditions changed, and it has nothing to, it's not a reflection on the professionalism of the people who do it, but it is a dangerous way to treat the forest if we have the fuel loadings that we have extant in most places that are untreated. And the caution there is warranted, I would maintain. So as a non-expert, and this is where trusting the Forest Service and the people who have spent their life dealing with those issues is probably also pretty appropriate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, supervisors. If only we could have a prescribed burn of the bad politicians in the legislature in Sacramento, and we could get rid of them, and California would turn back into something of the great state it used to be. What I'd like to talk to you about is the fact that no matter what happens in California, if you have certain parts of California that are so anti-civilization, it has a tendency to spread. And so I think a memorandum of going forward would be whatever happens in the Bay Area, just do the opposite up here. And so I wrote a poem, a little one, it's not a very long one.
Sir, your comment needs to be on this agenda item.
Yeah, it's gonna all tie in together in the end. So if I had a summer home in the Bay Area and a winter home in hell, I'd spend all my summers in my winter home. But getting back to the point here, you know, the Indians were here for thousands of years, and they would set fire to the forest, but it was considered savage due to the fact that it impacted things other than themselves. And so the smart way going forward is to do the clearing and then the burning. But getting back to my point, we need to include the bad politicians in the state of California, and we need to clear them out before we burn them out. Do you understand that relationship? Yeah, I think our forests have been mismanaged due to Sacramento's legislature, and that's plain and apparent to see with the rise of insurance for fires. And you only have to look at San Francisco property values to see what happens when you mismanage a city or a county. And the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So, the algorithm of stopping your state from burning up and your property values from going down is to do completely 180 degrees of what Gavin Newsom and Sacramento are telling you to do. And that's what I want you to bear in mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Seeing no other comment, I'll bring it back to the board for.
Chair, I'd like to move that we approve the comment letter to the U.S. Forest Service regarding Seral 2.0, proposed scope of actions with the aforementioned amendments.
I'll second.
All right, it was moved by Supervisor Campbell and seconded by Supervisor Kirk. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. And thank you.
Thank you. That passes 3-0-0. Okay, we're going to take a short break right now. Let's be back at 9:59. So say 10. All right, we're going to get started. All right, we're going to get started again. I do have an announcement to make. The 9:30 item has been pulled, so we will hear that probably at the first of the year, sometime in January. So we will move on to the 10 a.m. appointment, and Heather, if you will please read that one.
10 a.m. discussion and direction on the design of the Yaney Avenue Building Board Chambers.
All right.
Good morning. Maureen Frank, your Capital Projects Director, and with me from Lionakis is Brandon Rocca. And what we'd like to do is follow up on a work session that we had with your board back in early October, where staff was given direction on the remodel of the Yaney Courthouse building to repurpose it for the County Administrator's Office, the Board of Supervisors, and County Council. And we just have a few slides with us, and then as we ask your board to give us further direction, we want to just take a second to switch computers, because we do have a neat tool that will bring up actual photos from the building itself. So as you deliberate some of the things that we're going to ask you, we'll be able to show you the room itself.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so with that, staff just wanted to give you a quick background on where we've been and where we are currently right now. So as your board is aware, in November 2021, the Superior Courts of California of Tuolumne moved out of the courthouses on Yaney Avenue and Washington Street and moved to the Law and Justice Center campus. Thus, those two buildings then reverted back to the ownership of Tuolumne County. April 2021, the county entered into a contract with Lionakis Services for architectural services, and they were looking at several buildings, not these two just courthouses, but several of our other buildings to do what's called a fit test and really see what offices, what programs best fit within inside several of our buildings. It was at that point in time that your board decided that for the Yaney building that we were looking at, again, the Board of Supervisors, County Council, and the County Administrator's Office to go into that building. From the work that I just described in October of 2023, Lionakis Architects was selected among several architects that submitted proposals to us to provide design services, basically to look at remodeling that building for the purposes that we just discussed. Oh, come on. Why can't I get that to go? Okay. on October 5th, 2023, your board held a work session with Lionakis and county staff to go over the preliminary remodel plans and discuss the following. So at that work session, your board got to work directly with the Lionakis staff in looking at the three floors, if you will, the three floors plus the mezzanine. And we were looking at the proposed location of each of the departments we were just discussing. We looked at space allocated to each of those departments. And then what was really important to us is how the public access each of those departments, the board chambers, and any conference and other spaces that we were going to design into that building. Yep, sorry about that. Oh. Skipping a slide. At that work session, staff was given the following direction. They had basically, for the county administration and county council staff area, they were fine with them being located on the first and second floors. And if there were any minor deviations to the plans, that you left it up to county council Sarah Curl and then the county administrator Tracy Riggs to make any refinements they needed to better make their space more efficient for their staff. On the first floor, we created a more open lobby area as you enter and exit the elevator area. That was very important to you, that we had since it was the central point of entering and exiting the building, that you wanted it open and free. On the mezzanine area, you agreed that we would then create a break room for the whole entire building. On the third floor, we talked about the board offices. Staff gave you really two options to look at. One was to create a kind of Board of Supervisors area in which all the supervisors were located in one area as option one. And then another option was to have a little bit larger offices, but have three offices located in one central located in one area, and then two of the board offices located kind of in the close to the lobby area, if you will, right off the elevator. And at that time, board gave us directions to create a office space for all 5 board members. Then as far as the board chambers, we gave you options in regards to, there was a lot of discussion around removal of a wall. Right now it's between the old, if you will, courtroom and a jury deliberation room. And we talked about the flexibility of that room and what you wanted to do. And at the end of the day, you gave staff direction to not take down the wall. Okay, let's see if I can do this again. Okay. I am very sorry. This is not... I can't. I'm just having. Okay. So since the work session that we had on October 5th, staff has been working with the Lionakis team in trying to put those final touches into the design. And as we were doing so and looking at space allocation, looking at the flow of the room, looking at ADA concerns or design requirements that we had to incorporate into the design, it led to several concerns that staff had. And these concerns were as following: incorporating the use of the judge's bench into the design of the dais, removal of the jury box for access, the size of the board chamber for both the public and the staff, and confirming the removal of the wooden chairs in the room to provide as much flexibility as possible. Again, I apologize. It is not, the slideshow is not cooperating with me. So staff is here before you today because the direction you gave us really means some compromises to us, and we really wanted to bring it back and ensure that that's the direction you want to go. Staff in your board memo had given you 2 options for the room, and we are strongly recommending option 2 and making that board chambers bigger. But specifically, these are there are there are basically 6 items that we want to go through with you, and I will just read these off, and then what I'd like to do is have Brandon, we'll switch computers and have him go to that room itself, and then open it up for your discussion and giving us further direction on how you want to proceed. So as I mentioned, the first item is the judge's bench. It's a beautiful bench. It's wooden. It's actually in 3 pieces. And our options are to remove the bench from the room. And again, staff is trying very, very hard to incorporate as much of the historical nature, culture, materials that are currently in the building into the new remodel design. And so what we would like to do is put that bench on display either right outside the new board chambers or in your lobby area on the 3rd floor. Or the other option we have is to modify the bench in some way, incorporate it into the dais. And with that, we would need some much further direction from you if that's what your wishes are. Regarding the jury room wall, again, keep the existing wall between the 2 rooms. That would be the jury, what's currently known as the jury deliberation room, and then the courtroom as we know it now. That would, if we did that, just to give you an idea, that gives you 57 public seats and 12 seats at tables for staff. And right now, currently, that's slightly less than we have in the room right now. And for staff, it's significantly less that we have right now. If we were to remove that wall, we would remove 2/3 of the wall and open up the room. We would keep the top, my architect could correct me, 10 to 12 feet of the part of the wall that's up on near the ceiling portion of that room. It's beautiful. It will keep the room feel to it, the historical feel to it. But then opening up allows us to really provide much more flexibility of the space in there. The other thing as staff recommendations to you is not look at it right now, here and today, but also think far enough into the future. What will board meetings look like? How will they be attended? And we're just trying to give you as much flexibility as possible. And our recommendation to you is to open up at least 2/3 of that wall and keep the top portion of it intact for the historical value of it. But that's our recommendation. The wooden chairs, they're beautiful. They're historic. They're not quite ADA compliant, and no way do they allow us to have flexibility in that room. So the 2 choices that we have before you to consider is remove the wooden chairs altogether. We could do something similar as we're doing, as we could do with the judge's bench, and put a row of them outside with a plaque and talk about, displaying them and talking about them in the courtroom and have them on display. Or we could keep some of them in the room itself, a row or 2, to show what it did look like in the past. The other 2 items we're looking for direction on you is the jury box. At your work session last time, there was sentiment to remove it. In that, the jury box, in your board memo, there was a 3rd plan sheet, and it shows you how much room that jury box took. And if we were to raise the dais and give the board access from their office area, plus the ramp up to meet ADA standards to have the dais be ADA compliant, that jury box really gets in our way, and we would have to do something different with it. So either we leave the jury box in place and maybe do some minor modifications to it, or remove the jury box altogether. This 5th item is we just want to confirm, because I know this is something near and dear to the heart of the Board of Supervisors, is your office space. And I just want to confirm one last time what your board would like to do. So there are two options here. As I mentioned earlier, we can go back to an original option which shows 2 Board of Supervisors offices out in the hallway and 3 in the main Board of Supervisors area. Thus, you would have much larger offices, each one of the 5 board members, and all 5 would have windows. Or what we could do is keep the direction that I received in the past work session, create all 5 Board of Supervisors offices in one central location. It kind of be a Board of Supervisors suite in which off of that you would have your own bathroom, ADA compliant bathroom there, and your own access in and out of the board chambers. The offices would be smaller, and just as a reminder, 2 of those offices, as of right now, do not have any windows in them. I don't know if windows are really a big deal. I could, again, it's money, but I could work with the architects to see if maybe one more of those offices, maybe we could put a window in. The other office is blocked by the new elevator that will be going in. So with that, we're going to switch computers real quick, and we'll open it up to a picture of the, you got it. We're going to have to, sorry. What's really neat is in this project, we commissioned Lionakis to do what's called Matterport. Matterport is a 360-degree pictorial presentation of the rooms that we're considering. So in this, we can zoom out and in. Can you just show them a little bit? Do a 360 of the room. 360 of the room so you can kind of get a feel for it. So as we go through each of the items, we can just ask us to go to a different view if there's something you want to see. So with that, that's the end of our presentation as it is, and asking for board direction on those 5 items that we talked about.
Can you move the picture back to the bench?
Yep.
Thank you.
So when you see the good morning, I'm Brandon with Lionakis. But when you look at the bench here, it's pretty clear that this whole bench was not original. And you can just see that by the color of the wood, the grain of the wood, that these 2 sides, I think this is where the witness stand is. And then I think they just gave the judge some more table area here on the right-hand side. But you can see the seams, and you can tell that that whole bench was not original. Who knows when it was added? There's not really good documentation of that. But that is kind of the character of the bench. What I've talked to with my historical architect, that probably the significance of this intersection is higher than the 2 sides, that if we are going to move it, we do already have some ideas of where we could display it in a lobby area, so it would be in high public eyes. Like Mo mentioned, trying to incorporate this into a dais is really not going to be very functional for you guys. You still would need to do some modifications to be able to get 5 people sitting back there, because it was meant for 2. Now, if we want to move over to the jury box, again, beautiful woodwork. That would be a great place for some audience to sit. But when you start to look at the layouts of what we've come up with with removing both the bench and the jury box, it really impedes on if we're trying to save either one of these things. What we would definitely want to do is keep all that paneling in the back. That's going to go all the way around the room. We got to keep all that. It's just got some historic significance and modifications there.
So one of the things, as you see in your board memo, is 2 options for you. And in that, we heard loud and strong in your work that you did with Lionakis previously, that you're looking at a dais that is more kind of U-shaped or C-shaped in nature. And for us, we cannot do that for you and keep this jury box. So that means then if we were to keep this jury box, then you would have to change your dais layout to more of a L shape, where it's straight across where the board sits, and then for your senior staff, it would be off to the side. So everything is doable. We're just trying to lay out the options for you, and every decision we make has some type of consequences and some type of, if you will, sacrifices for one thing versus another thing. So keep that in mind as you consider all these items. What would you like us to look at next? The back wall? Is that so?
Actually, could you
Yeah.
point straight up, look at the tiles, and zoom in? What are those? Are those tiles like this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Oh,
They're similar. They're an acoustical tile, but they're a glue-on to a substrate. You can see that there's some perforations to help with absorbing sound.
okay, but it's like this kind of thing where it's
Well, this
a
is
drop
what
ceiling
is
type.
called a floating ceiling. This
Right.
is actually a tile that's glued probably
But
to
it's
a plaster.
It's that
With the holes,
Yeah, that's
holes
soft
at, like
material.
for schools.
Right. This was done in a remodel. This is not this top ceiling is not original.
So there's nothing historically significant to this ceiling.
No.
Okay.
Now the sides, what we tried to do in the last remodel, and it was under.
And could you zoom in right there, just
Yeah.
for the public that may not have seen this?
No. Zoom into this.
There's some damage along the, I guess you'd call it the cornice or the transition from the wall. It's kind of all around, and there's actually a big spot if you turn to the right. Up there, yeah. Maybe that was the big spot. Yeah, there's another spot there.
I would say it's water damage and the
Yeah.
paint's just peeled off.
Right. But that is, in a restored condition, that part of it is beautiful. But the ceiling itself is just kind of blah.
Yeah, so that's something my historical architect brought up when we first threw out the idea of whether we're going to take this wall out or not to open up this to be a larger room. One thing he said, no, is we can't touch this, so that's why Mo has mentioned that we would only take out a portion. We have not determined what that height is. Do we maybe pick the height of the crown of the windows or horizontal mullion here? We haven't determined what that height is, but we do know that we can't take it all the way up to the ceiling, that we want to preserve that coved transition from the ceiling to the wall. So if we were to take it out, roughly where these old registers were, that's part of the original heating of the building, it would be roughly about right there. And we would actually start at this doorway here because we need to leave a little transition here to take the wood wainscot and turn it and wrap it to terminate it, to make it look like, purposeful. Because if you go into the next room, the paneling in there is totally different.
Do you have pictures of the next room?
I have pictures of the whole building. So in here, it's more of just a chair rail, painted bottom, more set up like you would for a conference room. Jury assembly is what it was. So there's not a lot of historic significance in here. I am being told that we're going to want to keep that railing, but like I mentioned, we need a place to terminate what's going on out here to what's going on here to where it's a nice transition. We'd probably save some of this paneling from elsewhere, wrap it, and probably turn it and dye it into that exterior wall to just make it look like, okay, it was intentional. But as you can see, if you were back here looking just through the door, that does give you guys quite a bit more viewing room. And one of the things that we did do with the layout is to shift the center of the dais, not centered in the room, but more over to one side. So, if we do open this up, it's going to get a better viewing, so someone's not sitting kind of looking totally diagonally.
So as Brandon was saying, so the difference, just so you know, so if we kept the wall up, you would have 57 public seats in there. That is assuming that all the wooden seats are gone and we have flexible seating like we do currently right now in the board chambers. If we were to take out the portion of that wall and use the jury deliberation room, you're looking at 83 seats, public seats. For the staff sitting at tables, you have 12, in option 1, that's keeping the wall up, you will have 12 seats for staff. And in option 2, that's taking the wall down, you will have 18 seats for staff at tables. So that's just the difference, just so you know.
So as Mo mentioned, this is the original wood seating, very ornate and beautiful, but just not really functional. I mean, it's fixed in place. It's not something that, I've been in this room numerous times when it's laid out like this, or it's a workshop where it's tables moving around. It's a multi-purpose room, not just chambers. And I think that's something to consider by the board, is that it's not just a boardroom, but it's a flexible space that could be utilized for other events.
And most likely what we would do if your board chose to keep the wooden seats in here as is, we would need to take out a few for ADA purposes, just so you would know. Because right now there's no room for ADA accommodations right now.
So one last thing I want to point out on these chairs that you don't see anymore is the hat racks underneath the seat. So something I guess we've lost in our culture. So what was that third or fifth item?
The last one was their office space.
So is there anything else you guys want to see in here while we're in here? Okay. So when we met last time, we presented two options, as Mo mentioned. One of them was to create a suite with 5 more smaller offices. I mean, there's still a little over 100 square feet. I think the two corner people get the largest just because they're trying to get doors to work. But 111 to 130 square feet, which is a decent sized office. It's not one that you're going to bring in a round table and have your own little conference in a corner kind of scenario, but it's a comfortable office for a person. I did not bring the other option we had, but one of it was to get 3 larger offices in here, and I think the other 2 were proposed over here. And as Mo mentioned, yes, there's not windows in everyone. The 2 corner guys or people get to have windows, 2 windows. And then, of course, this upper right is not going to get the window because we're infilling that by adding the elevator here. And then this bottom office is the one that just happens to be centered between the 2 existing windows. I would say if we wanted to try to add a window there, we'd probably get shot down. That's what my gut's telling me. I haven't entertained it. Yeah. I think the HPRC would have a hard time with that.
So that's basically our presentation. We're just here to answer any questions you may have. And again, staff is looking at direction on those 5 items.
So with the board's permission, I think I'd like to go to public comment first and then have a discussion up here on the dais. Is that all right with you guys? All right, so I'm going to call for public comment first on the presentation that was made. Does anybody have anything to say? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. And which one of you guys would like to go first? You have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I just want to publicly state I never thought I'd be doing interior design as a board member, but here we are. I should have brought my wife here. She could have just made all the decisions for me. Can you go back to the jury room real quick?
Sure.
I don't know where the full board is going to want it, or sorry, go back. Sorry, not that room, the main room.
Oh, the jury box.
Yeah, could you go up to the, where the judge usually sits and then face back out? So when I guess I missed the last meeting because my wife was in labor, so I'm coming in kind of after the fact, but could you turn towards that wall?
Which wall? That one?
Turn, keep turning. I want to see the back wall.
Oh, the back wall.
Yeah. Okay, so right there, that's fine. So I don't know if board members want to keep chairs, but this is my question. Could you take some of those old chairs and put them along that wall where the light is to kind of, would that be an option? And then basically just have your rows be a little bit more thinner on the left side? So you see where the two windows are? If board members wanted to save some chairs, could you put a row right there? Would that work with,
Against the wall.
yeah?
I'm just trying to see if the height of the backs are lower than the window. It's close.
If
Well,
we,
it doesn't have to be right up against it, but I'm just thinking if people want to
if we.
save some
so
chairs,
if I
basically
put-
chairs, go ahead, Mo, sorry.
No, I'm sorry, Supervisor. So, the answer is yes, if, and that's gonna be your big question. So if we were to remove if we were to keep the wooden chairs, the way they are, no.
No,
because it's an access.
just one set of chairs along that wall.
Right, but if you were to keep the wooden chairs as they are seen right here, you couldn't, because you couldn't be able to get out of that room, that we would have a fire
No,
issue.
no, if that wall were removed, basically a set of chairs against a wall, and then
Right,
the rest of the chairs are
But you
this way.
could do that if you remove the wooden chairs and we put flexible chairs in like we have now, then we can accommodate the space between the wall and the first chair
Okay.
against that wall to put those, what you see, those historic wooden chairs against the wall if you would like.
So it is an option if we were to remove the wall because there's no ADA issue going to
Well,
that.
if you were to remove the wooden chairs, yes, it's an option.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the only.
So we do,
Oh, and then, I'm sorry, I got one more question.
yeah.
Could you go, like you're walking into this room? So go out that door right there, and then get to an angle where you can look into the room. It's like a video game. So sorry, if you could go out that door, kind of like, and then look into the room. I'm just curious. Oh,
I don't have a point.
it's
between
fine.
there.
I think if you just turn, just look that way. If you,
Like you're just walking in the room.
yeah,
right?
so turn.
He got it as close as he could.
Yeah,
I think.
keep turning right there. So on the other side of that door, along that wall, is there enough room to put the bench right there, the judge's bench?
Yes.
Outside.
Yeah,
Yes, in the hallway, yes.
because my understanding is like that's a big grand hallway platform. Yeah, turn around.
Turn around again. So
Well, this is,
Here.
I'm analyzing.
No,
it
no,
all
no,
at the
back
same
up. Now
time.
back up a little,
so
right there.
There.
Is that enough room to put the judge's bench?
That is a place you could put it. Where Mo and I've been thinking is what we've done with the new elevator here is we've got this nice lobby,
Okay.
and we've called it a museum/lobby because we know that we're going to want to save certain things in this building, and
Oh, okay.
this would be a place to display it. You're definitely right. You could put some along both these walls. So there are places and
Okay.
niches in the building that you could relocate these.
So it could. Okay.
Yeah.
That was my only two questions.
Questions, Supervisor Campbell?
Yeah, I have a mixture of questions and
Yeah, go ahead.
comments, if that's okay. And we had a really good discussion about this, kind of a workshop where we sat out here. We had fairly good participation from the public. We had members from the historic preservation community, several other community members, and we all kind of sat down and people weighed in on what their opinions are. I think the board members weighed in. We all took tours of the structure, and I think we came out with some good recommendations. And I'm going to try not to be snarky, but I just wanted to kind of clarify. So what I recall from that meeting was that it was the direction to preserve the bench and modify it in such a way that it could accommodate 5 board members. Is that what you remember?
That's correct.
Okay.
But we're here.
But the recommendation here is to build a new semicircular.
Okay, what I'm
dais.
trying to do is balance out several competing directions I've been given from the board. So what I was told, you were looking for a U-shape or a C-shape type of dais.
No, that's not how I remember. I thought the direction was to preserve the old
That's what
bench. That was The direction
You
was to
tried,
preserve the bench
you
and
asked us to
modify it.
try to incorporate into the design, and with that, and as we looked at the space allocation, we're having difficulty doing that.
Okay, all right, and fair enough. I'm
Yeah,
just
that's-
clarifying where
no,
we were
and
and where we
staff
are.
did look at that, that's why,
And then with respect to the jury room and the wall there, that was very clear to me that the direction was not to cut into the wall. That was probably, I would argue, one of the more contentious elements of it.
that's correct.
But now the recommendation is to do that.
Again,
I'm trying not to be
no,
snarky.
no,
I'm
you're
just
not.
trying
No,
to
and
understand how.
I think I've been
because
clear in my
This
presentation.
is very different from where we landed.
Right, but I have given you two, in your board packet, there are two designs, and as we keep refining the design, and as I've been giving direction, I give the direction to Lionakis. And as we refine it, I'm gonna come back, like I said, and continue to give you options and let you know, okay, are you okay? So if we don't take out this wall, so what's on the monitor right now, this is kind of how it's gonna look. And
Okay.
are you okay with it?
And then the other recommendation was to maintain the wooden folding chairs. That was pretty clear, but you're recommending that we remove those.
Yes, I am.
Okay. And then the other recommendation was to maintain the jury bench. That was another thing that was agreed on, and now the proposal was to remove the jury bench. So I mean, can you see where I'm coming from? Is that it seems like all of the historic elements that I think we were interested in preserving from the workshop have been removed from this product that has come out of the direction that was given at the time. So I guess I'm just trying to understand. I mean, I understand the logic that there are issues with some of those
Right,
sacrifices,
right.
but I think that they were done intentionally. I'll just speak from my own perspective, but I think it was my interpretation is there was a desire to preserve it as a historic space. And so if we're removing the historic seating, if we're removing the bench, if we're, removing a wall to add additional seating, then it's undercutting all of that. And I'll just, my feeling about this is that I'm not a big fan of amalgamated, designs of this type. It's a historic courtroom. It needs to be presented as a historic courtroom. I feel like what we're doing here is a little bit trying to recreate this room on the 4th floor of 2 South Green Street. And I'll just tell you, I don't think we should be doing that. I think we should be keeping it as a space that's usable for a wider range of purposes other than just a courtroom, but still keeping definitely the seating, definitely not removing the wall. I don't think we need the additional seating that removing the wall would create. That's just my view. One option to that end, one option would be to, if you look at the bar, so where you have all the staff seating in the front, move the bar down, because there actually is, if you go to that view from where the bench is and where the dais would be, there's a very large disconnect between that and where the public would sit. And I don't think it necessarily needs to be that wide. And so if you reduce that, you could get one row, maybe two more in that space. And then, the semicircular dais to me is, why are we preserving the wood siding and the wainscoting, and why are we preserving the woodwork in some elements, but then adding a modern dais? To me, that doesn't make sense aesthetically. I mean, I understand that it's better for discourse, that type of seating, but those are the sacrifices that we need to make in order to preserve it aesthetically. And one suggestion to that end is we could preserve the existing bench. And as you pointed out correctly, there are two wings on either side of the bench that are modern additions. Remove those and make it a hexagonal or half hexagon. So you have a central bench that is flat and straight, and then two wings on either side. The chair sits in the middle, two board members sit on one wing, two board members sit on the other wing, and then the staff would sit on the left side there. So I think there are options that, so I talked about the historic preservation of it, which to me is the number one concern. But second to that, every one of these major changes, I see dollar signs. You know, if we're rebuilding an entire new dais from scratch, if we're removing all the seating and replacing it with other seating, it's going to increase the cost. Whereas if we're removing walls, it's going to increase the cost. I'm a fan of preserving everything that we can to make it practical and getting in there and start using it as quickly as possible and as cheaply as possible, because the more additions and changes we make to it, the more it's going to increase the cost, and the less feasible it is we're going to be able to do this thing. So, yeah, there's a little too many changes for me. You know, I think there are things we could do that I'm a realist. I realize that I'm actually kind of coming to the realization that we probably can't keep the jury box where it is, because that takes up a large amount of real estate, and it really isn't suitable for anything other than a jury box, which is a shame. But I think all these other elements need to stay, at least in some form, shape, or form. And I just don't see the challenge in as being insurmountable in terms of working around those to make it a usable space.
Thank you. Okay, I will give my comments, and then we'll kibitz a little bit and see if we can come up with something that we can all agree on. Oh, yeah. So why don't you go first then? You've just asked questions. Go ahead.
Okay. My comments are, let me just say up front, there's only 3 of us up here. So, like, if we're not all in agreement, we're going to be wasting our time, their time. It already sounds like we're off to, like, a little bit of a, we're not all there. So I think we're pretty quick. Once you give your comments, we need to acknowledge whether we're going to be on the same page or not. Right. If we're not, then we need to kick the can down the road till we got other board members. I will say this, listening to Supervisor Campbell talk, I completely agree on the historic side of the house. Like, this place, just walking up to this place is amazing. You walk inside, it's amazing. I think no matter what we do, it's still going to be an amazing facility, and it's going to feel like history in there. I will say, from remodeling, from building my home and doing a lot of the work myself, no matter what we do, I think whether we remove a wall, whether we remove a bench or whatnot, it all comes down to the finish work for me. If you do the right wood and the right tones, and you do the finish work right, you can make that room, you can make a brand new room look 200 years old, depending on how we do the finish work. So it's, for me, it's not necessarily frustrating, but it's like the finish work isn't part of this conversation, but yet I feel like it kind of needs to be. So I'll just simply state, I don't care about the dais. I don't care if it's circular. I don't care if it's this way or straight. One thing that was going through my mind was, if we did remove the back wall, you could take that wainscoting or whatever that stuff is. You could actually take that and put it up on the dais and use that for the bench, like that look, to preserve that look. But I'll just make my comments real quick, and we'll see if they match up. As far as the bench goes, I don't care what we do with the bench. If we want to keep it straight, do your idea, Campbell. I think, like I said, I think we can preserve that look with the finish work. So I'm fine with whatever the majority wants on the bench. When it comes to the jury room, removing the wall, I personally I think we should remove the wall because of space. I think the more space, the better. We've had meetings where there's not a lot of people, but when they're large, we're going to be very crowded. That gives us an option. I will throw in an option. If the majority of the board did not want to remove that wall, we could put seating back there and put a big screen TV, maybe for overflow for people to watch the board meeting. That could be an option. But if you ask me, I'd say it makes sense to remove the wall. When it comes to wooden chairs, I think they're awesome, but that's why I'm trying to find a place, maybe just to show like where they used to be, like against the windows. I personally would not want to come to a board meeting and sit in those wood chairs for 8 hours at a time. I think people's asses are going to be sore, and that's what's going through my mind, is I just don't want people uncomfortable coming to a board meeting unless we want to sit in wood chairs. I think it's, I'm just looking at it from the comfort level, but I would be in favor of putting them anywhere that you guys want, maybe even against that wall, just one section. But overall, I think it's not practical to have those chairs. Jury box, yeah, ADA issues, it makes sense to remove it, so I'm fine for that. As far as office space for the supervisors, I think it makes sense to keep them all together. I would leave that portion as is. Let me see if there's any other questions. Were there any other questions, Mo, that were on there that I'm missing?
That's them.
That's it? Okay. So it's hard to have a strong opinion about something like this, but those are my thoughts. But unless you're similar, we just need to.
I think I can draw some things from both and see if we have any kind of agreement. When Supervisor Campbell mentioned the hexagonal look, it's still kind of U-shaped so people can see each other. And then with the extension on one side for the CAO, County Council, and the Clerk of the Board, I can see that. I can see that with similar facing like the judge's bench has, so that it looks kind of like that. Now, it's my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that judge's bench is just too big to be able to incorporate it into this hexagonal shape. Is that correct? I mean, if we could keep it, great, and build it out that way. If we can't, we can make it look similarly to that, how it's faced. And are you understanding that hexagonal kind of shape with the extension?
Definitely.
So I don't know what can work. So you might have to come back later and tell us what, can we keep the judge's bench or can we not? It just won't work. It won't, pencil out. So those are but it should look old. It shouldn't look like Formica top and rounded, because then I agree with Supervisor Campbell. It's going to be a mixture, too much of a mixture of modern with old. I think I was the only one who liked keeping a little bit of the wall that separates the jury deliberation room from the rest. And I have a question for everybody here. Remember, I don't remember what year it was. I think it was in the 1990s or something. You remember when the last extension of the 108 bypass was done? And we were all thinking in our minds what it was going to look like. And then when we actually drove on it, it was 2 lanes, not 4. And everybody had the impression it was going to be 4 lanes. We're not going to be building this out tomorrow, probably not next year, probably not even the year after, maybe, but maybe not. If we don't make it as big as we can make it, when this finally gets built, people are going to say, what were they thinking? Okay? It's a difference of, well, I added them up. For option 1, 57 seats, 12 staff, that's 69 total, versus 83 seats for the public, 18 for staff, 101 total. I think we're going to need it, not every day, not every board meeting, but we're going to need it for certain board meetings and other functions that we will be having. Hopefully we'll get our housing situation straightened out so that we have more people in our, not a whole bunch more, but more people in our community that will want to come. So thinking down the road, I don't want us to have that feeling of driving for the first time on the 108 bypass. So I did acquiesce at the end of the last meeting because everybody else seemed to be in favor of keeping the jury deliberation room, but I'd like to open up that conversation again. And as far as the drop goes, you need enough clearance so that really tall people don't have to worry about bending their heads. And so I would leave it up to the architect to decide where it would look most appropriate and not stilted, you know what I mean? I think I heard that we need to, no matter what, and it's unfortunate that we're going to have to let go of the jury box, even though it's historic and it's beautiful. It's not going to work for our needs. And going back to the Board of Supervisors space, the way you have it outlined here on option 1 and 2 is what I think will work best. That allows us to have 2 conference rooms, a smaller one and a larger room, where if we have people that we're meeting with, hopefully we can use one of those 2 spaces. So I like keeping those offices there together. And was there something else I should have commented on that I didn't? Okay, so let's talk, the 3 of us, and see if we can make any kind of an agreement. If we can't, we'll bring it back in January.
I was keeping notes. I got 3 check marks for the 3 of us for the hexagon idea, or whatever for the
Yeah.
dais. I was hearing that for all 3 of us. I was hearing all 3 of us about the jury box. We don't really want to remove it, but it makes sense that we need to. I heard 2 of us. I just want to clarify with you, Supervisor Half. On the wall, I didn't want to remove the wall completely, but enough to open it up. So similar idea. So there's only 2 of us there, though. So wooden chairs. What did you say on wooden chairs?
Oh, I didn't say about the wooden chairs. I mean, for flexibility's sake, we need to, those, I can tell you, because I've sat in those wooden chairs, they are excruciatingly uncomfortable. And, but I think, you know, in that lobby, the museum lobby, there's a good place for them along a wall there somewhere. Maybe other places throughout the building. You know, there's a mezzanine, there's a first floor, maybe there'll be other places. But in the what will become the boardroom itself, it doesn't allow for flexibility, so I would say no. None of those bolted down chairs in that room.
I think, Campbell, were you good on office space? Were you good with where the offices were?
Yeah, I'm not, honestly, well, I did have some minor comments on that, but I don't think there's anything we can do about it, so I won't even bring it up. You know, where offices go, that type of thing, you know, whatever's practical is, and whatever's cheapest, I'm fine with that. I just feel really strongly about the preservation of that particular space, the courtroom.
The courtroom.
Oh.
So I'm hearing one.
That's the only thing I'm coming down kind of hard on, because, you know, there's a saying that I like that I think applies to government in a lot of cases. If you want to build a horse by committee, you end up with a camel. Because, you know, one person says, oh, we should have a big hump, another person says, oh, it should have a long neck. And so you end up with something that's not the original vision that you had, which was, we want to build a horse here. And to me, that is having a historic courthouse. So if we add, you know, a modern looking furniture, we remove the chairs, to me that undermines a lot of the character of it. Right. And speaking of since I guess I'll just start with the chairs. How many chairs are in there right now that are the folding chairs? What's the seating with just, if we were just to move over there right now without touching a thing, how many chairs?
Can you count Matterport? No.
Because see, that takes out a row because it has AV, so it's. So it's 4 rows of 6, and then 5 rows of 6. Okay, so 30.
They're very close together too. You can't see it here when you sit in them.
And again, some of those are going to have to be removed to be able to, for ADA accommodations. For some people.
I know.
Yeah.
Right now, it's total 65.
65, okay. So right now in this room, there's 52 seats. 52 seats right here in the public area. There's more seats if you include where staff is sitting. But this room, we've had many people in here, and we can add additional seating when it calls for it. But I would say very rarely in the time that I've been on the board have we needed more seating than what we have in this room right here. And so the idea that we're going to remove a wall and remove the existing seating on the off chance that we might have a need for 80 seats for members of the public. I don't, it doesn't seem worth it to me. And I mean, I get that the chairs are not as comfortable as, you know, a Barca lounger or anything like that, but, you know, they're for.
It's not even compared.
Well, but
They're awful.
it's a space for the community to meet to discuss the public's business, and I don't, you know, again, I place a high value on preserving it as a historic courthouse, and again, it comes with sacrifices, and that could come in the form of seating that is less comfortable than would otherwise be. I've sat in those chairs for a long period of time, and you know, it's fine for a couple hours, which you know, most people, you know, we have some faithful that do spend long periods of time in the boardroom, but that's not typical. I would say the majority of people come to board meetings for an hour or 2 hours, not for long extended periods of time. So I think for that purpose, for the majority of time, I think the seating is good enough for the purpose.
Staff will do what your board wishes. The only other sacrifice that then we're making is then this room is dedicated for the purpose of a board chambers and only, and we wouldn't be able to do anything else in this room with the wooden chairs fixed.
Why not? Why can't you have planning commission meetings?
Fixed to the floor? No, and as far as being able to do different configurations in the room. So if we wanted to be able to hold a department-wide meeting, or you know, all the.
Why would you hold a department-wide meeting in this room? This is kind of where I'm going, is that there are other spaces that I think are more suitable for those purposes. This room, it would be Board of Supervisors, Planning Commission, LAFCO, you know, Natural Resources, these types of things that, or public presentations, if somebody, you know, wants to talk about, you know, there are purposes that this type of room is suitable for. And that's what I want to preserve. And also there's the possibility we could have other court meetings there in the future.
I think we're going to have to bring this back to the full board. We're too far apart.
Yeah, and
is it possible to move forward with things we agree on, or? Well, and that was going to be my other question: is could at a future board meeting this get brought up again by the full board, and then we're right back to square one?
I'll tell you where I'm willing to come off of where we were last time, and it's the jury box. You know, I've put a lot of thought into that. I really like the jury box. I think it is part of the historic character of it, but it takes up way too much real estate, and I just don't see how we can keep that in its current formation and have enough space for the other purposes.
Do we have more of those jury chairs? I'm just curious because they're super old school. Do we have enough to fill the jury room with those?
No.
I really don't want people sitting on those wood benches, but I'm trying to compromise too on some things. Like I feel like I'm just saying for the sake of the conversation, like if we could, I'm not going to die on the hill, but like if we could talk about the chairs in exchange for like the wall, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, and like I said earlier, see right in front of us here is the bar. Okay. And you can see the bar is quite far away from where the judge would sit or the board would sit. My proposal is remove the jury box there. That leaves you additional room, move the bar forward, and then bang, you got an extra 2 rows of seating or staff seating or whatever you want to do. But I think all that real estate that's in the front of the bar is
could we do
not very efficient.
Could we leave like half the wooden chairs in the back and then get some more of those old school looking chairs, kind of like the first 2, 3, 4 rows? That way there's a compromise of, when there's not a lot of people, it's a safe, or it's not safe, safe space. It's a comfortable space.
Okay,
when we have a lot.
I'm hearing consensus on moving the bar up to make more space behind, more seating, and also using the chairs in the jury box, and it looks like those ones in front of the bar possibly, they're not bolted down in the first few rows. And then for that, we could take out the other bolted down to the floor, wooden, very uncomfortable chairs.
No, I'm not saying remove the chairs. This is what I thought I heard, is that we move the bar forward to allow space for 2 additional rows.
Right.
Those rows would be made of the newer, more comfortable chairs. So we would have 2 rows of more comfortable seating and then maintain the existing seating behind that. So if people were really uncomfortable in the wooden chairs, 90% of the time they'd have the option to sit in more comfortable seating.
So that's an option, but I don't feel comfortable making that without the full board
Okay.
because we're going to remove totally the flexibility of being able to use this room from lots of different types of things.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to make that.
And I
decision.
recognize it, and I acknowledge and agree with that assessment. It does remove some of the flexibility in service of preserving the historic character.
And just so your board is aware, if we keep the all or part of the judge's bench and incorporate that into the design of the dais, Lionel is going to have to move it out to be able to give you enough ADA clearance there's not enough clearance between the wall and where the bench sits right now. So just know that I'm also going to have to move that bench forward a little bit to have enough clearance for the board to sit behind there and for people to pass through there for both the fire marshal and for ADA purposes. Just know that I have to move that bench up a little bit.
The bench?
The judge's
you mean
bench.
toward us?
Toward, yeah,
Okay.
out
Oh,
a
I
little
see.
bit,
I
just so
see.
you know.
So you're saying there, okay, I get you.
So I don't know if I'll work with Lionakis and see if we can get 2 rows. I know for sure I probably could get 1 row, but I'm not sure if I can get 2 rows. I just wanted to be upfront with you guys.
Okay.
I'm not trying to circumvent what you're asking of me. They're just, again, sacrifices and limitations with
Well,
space.
and even if we could only add 1 more row, that's 7 and 5, right?
6 and 6.
7 and 6,
Right,
so.
7 and 6.
Yeah, so 13 additional seats on top of 52, that's 65. So that would be 65 seats.
Right.
That's still more than we have in this current
And then
room by quite a bit.
okay, and then is your board okay with then moving, I would move then staff to the back of the room
So,
and
I'm
probably
sorry,
without.
Emma, what I'm hearing
I'm
is
concerned
the
if
board
we-
wants to wait until
Yes.
they have
Yeah.
all the
Yeah,
board,
so
so I would
that's-
just.
The questioning
might
needs
as
to
well
stop,
the
I think.
conversation and
Okay.
we
Yeah.
can bring it back next
Probably a
month.
good idea.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
Unless you want to will your vote to me half,
the
and
reality is,
we'll just
any-
do it right here.
the board can change their mind anytime.
Yeah.
And the board has changed their mind since the last time you
Right.
met,
Oh,
which is
boy.
why this is also being discussed. Because you've talked to me
I've
individually.
not.
You have not, but others have.
Okay.
And they want to see something different. They want flexibility of the room, which is why I need the 5 of you to discuss that to
Yeah.
give us direction.
I think
Isn't that
that's
kind of
true.
the point of a board meeting and a vote? Are we going to just keep listening to individual board members? Like, I changed my mind here. I changed.
There are more
Like, I
than
want to
just
get this in
changing
front of the
their
full board
minds.
and make a
Right.
decision and move forward. Like, if we just keep bringing it back.
We have not
new
talked
ideas.
about the design of the room. We were very clear
Okay.
about, we will come back to you once we have more information about ADA and
Okay.
space. What we need now is more the design of the room, and that's what we're trying to focus on, which does require, and that was some of my questions, like, keep the bench, modify the bench, which is what I think we could do by doing what Supervisor Campbell and you guys have talked about. But because of ADA and other issues, the jury box and some others are creating some space that we needed to talk to you about. What are you willing to give on? And what is it that is the most sacred of items? And and that's what we're fleshing out here is there are some items to you that are more sacred than others, and we need to hear those, and we need to hear where the flexibility is. But I'm hearing that maybe we should just wait when we have more than the 3 of you and have that conversation. And then you guys, if all 5 are here, it'd be nice for us as well if we could put it to rest so the architects can actually begin the design so we can move forward.
Yeah, and I'd like to say we've had some good conversation here, but to be fair to the other board members who could not be here, I think we need to wait. So thank you very much for your presentation today. I especially appreciate you being here. And we'll move on to the next item. Thank you. And that would be item number 14. Heather, if you can please read that.
Item 14, consideration of approving amendment number 1 to the employment agreement between the county and Tracy M. Riggs to serve as the county administrator.
Good morning, board
Hi,
members.
Sarah.
Sarah Carrillo, County Council. It is my pleasure to present this item to you. As your board is aware, Tracy has been serving as the County Administrative Officer for the last 5 years, And I'm sure that for her, sometimes that feels like decades ago, and sometimes it feels like just yesterday. The role of the CAO is not always easy, and there are many pressures placed upon Tracy. She has to answer to 5 bosses, to the employees, and to members of the public. So the last 5 years, they have been challenging, and Tracy's had to deal with things that no other CAO has had to deal with, like a global pandemic. It's very challenging to get through. She's also done a lot of things that, when I look back at the last 5 years, accomplished things and moved the county forward in many ways. And some that just come to my mind are a lot of the OES work with all of the fuel reduction and home hardening, bringing in millions of dollars. That was definitely something done under her leadership. We have taken as a county great strides to address homelessness in our county, and that's something that Tracy's worked on behalf of your board. So the other thing that she's absolutely passionate about is ensuring that our employees are growing and developing professionally, and it is something that when she speaks about it, she sort of sparkles. It's very exciting to watch. So at this point, I would consider her a very seasoned CAO. I'm not so sure that she would agree. But as you know, because her contract is expiring at the end of this year, your board directed me to negotiate with her on your behalf to extend the contract term for another 5 years. And so what you have before you today is an amendment to her contract, and certain terms have been added. We have the term now extending through December 31st of 2028. Eligibility to receive post-retirement medical benefits as of December 31st, 2028, and then an annual allowance of $2,500 per fiscal year to be used as reimbursement for county business-related out-of-pocket expenses. And that's something that when the CAO's office holds strategic planning sessions off-site, those expenses would be reimbursed out of this pot of money. So it is staff's recommendation that your board would approve amendment number 1 to the employment agreement between the county and Tracy Emmerichs to serve as the county administrator.
Thank you, Ms. Carrillo. Are there any questions from the board?
No questions.
Okay, I'll go to the public to see if there are any public comments on this agenda item. Welcome.
Thank you. I think Ms. Carrillo should have presented this in a matter-of-fact way and not as a cheerleader. And I also think this should be tabled until all 5 board members are here, because my answer is no.
Rebecca Spino, Health and Human Services Agency Director. I just want to concur with what our county council has said about the culture that she has created for the department heads in this organization. She's done a lot of work, and she's been a great support to me, and many things that have been accomplished in the county is because of her vision, her tenacity, and I will even say her grit.
Thank you. Any other comment? I'll bring it back to the board for your comments.
Let me start?
Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
I'm supportive of renewing the contract. I think Tracy Riggs has served our community extraordinarily well. I am grateful to have had the opportunity to work with and learn from Tracy Riggs. You know, those of us, maybe Supervisor Half knows, who've been around the county long enough to compare where we are as an organization now, what our reputation is as an organization compared to where we were in years past, and we're miles ahead. And I think in no small part is that attributed to the leadership of Tracy Riggs. And so I think the fact that she is willing and eager to stay on and continue serving the community is a testament to her dedication to the county and to the people of Tuolumne County. And, you know, I spend a lot of time talking to supervisors from other counties, colleagues in other areas, and the kind of complaints I hear I hear all, we all kind of treat each other like therapists, and so I hear the complaints that other counties have for their CAOs, and we don't have those kind of complaints. Just to put it succinctly, she works harder than just about anybody else I know. I'm getting texts from her late at night on a Sunday night. Ryan, I need you to look at this right now and tell me what you think. I think she's very responsive to concerns from the boards, and I think she's will serve us well for another term of her contract. So I'm supportive of renewing the contract for those reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Kirk.
Yeah, part of me, I understand what Carol's saying about having the two other board members here. I also agree they should be here to cast their vote. However, they're not. It's before us. So my answer, I'll be frank, I'm not always rainbows and sunshine. You guys know that. I've had disagreements with Tracy in the past. I've had concerns of things in the past, but who wouldn't? When a CAO has 5 board members that they in essence work for, there's going to be friction. But what I appreciate is, how do people deal with that? How do you navigate the several personalities, not just from board members, but from department heads in an organization? And it's not easy. And I will say, I've never met a CAO that everybody in the community liked, or that every board member completely loved. It's a tough position, and it gets paid well because of XYZ. So Tracy, what I appreciate about you is you put up with a lot of baloney, and you navigate it well. And I will say that you've been in an interesting situation dealing with the board. Our board is finally starting to mesh a little bit, and I think for a few years you kind of had to make it work. I'll just leave it at that. So I look forward to hopefully our board meshing better and making it more clear for you and giving you direction. But I think all in all, you've done well. And there's a lot of things I could say, but I think I'll just say that, yeah, I'll support the contract. And thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Correa, I'd like to have you address a comment that was made earlier.
Sure. While a couple of board members are not here today for various reasons, on prior board meeting agendas in closed session, it was listed that I would be negotiating this contract. So the contract before you is what a majority of the board directed and what Tracy agreed to. So the majority has, in essence, approved this agreement, even if 2 of them are not here today.
Thank you for that clarification. And yeah, I tell Tracy all the time, I couldn't do your job. And a very rare few who could juggle everything that she has to juggle. It's an incredible load, and I don't know how any one person does it. You need a strong assistant and really good department heads. And we have them. We have the department heads, and we have really good department heads, and part of that is because of your development of them, your approval of the trainings that they go to, and your encouragement that yes, they can. For all those reasons, and there's a whole bunch more, I have no qualms in approving this agreement, and I hope you can last the 5 years. Really, it wears, and it's stressful. So take care of yourself while you accept this contract. And I'll accept a motion.
I'll move on staff recommendation to extend the contract.
I'll second.
Okay, it was moved by Supervisor Kirk and seconded by Supervisor Campbell. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And so that's a 3-0-0. All right, thank you.
We still have a CAO. That's good.
Yeah, good.
If nothing else coming out of this meeting.
Yeah. So do we have enough time to do the closed session before the 11:30 recognition? Okay, let's go ahead and go for that. Heather, would you please read item number 16?
Item number 16, closed session conference with labor negotiators Tracy Riggs, County Administrator, Roger Root, Assistant County Administrator, and Karen McGettigan, Human Resources Director / Risk Manager. Authority Government Code Section 54957.6, all bargaining units.
And do we expect to report out on this? All right. So where should we adjourn to closed session? Where would that be? Just stay here? Let's go to the law library.
Let's go, because
Let's go to the law
we
library.
don't want to make everybody else move.
Oh, yeah. So we need to ask for public comment first before we move to closed session. Seeing none, we hope to be back as soon as we possibly can. Thank you. All right, welcome back, everyone, and it's good to see a lot of new faces in the boardroom now for this last appointment, the 11:30 appointment. And Heather, when you're ready, can you please read it?
11:30 a.m. Consideration of approving a certificate of appreciation for Richard M. Young, Mike, upon his retirement after 29 years of service with the Fleet Services Division of the Public Works Department.
Thank you.
All right, am I on?
Yes, Ms. McFarland.
Good morning. All right, so I think most of you know our fleet manager, Mike Young. For those of you who don't, I can tell you that he is one of the nicest people I've ever met. And he has an equally kind family. Patty, his wife of 44 years, his 4 daughters, Megan, Mandy, Mallory, and Morgan, and 6 beautiful grandchildren. An interesting fact, Patty and Mike have known each other since they were 10 years old when Patty's father bought his first logging truck from Mike's dad. Mike began his career with Tuolumne County in 1994 and worked his way up from equipment mechanic to fleet manager. When Mike officially retires on December 29th, 2023, he will have served the county for 29 years. Such a long time. In 1994, when Mike was just starting his career with the county, the best-selling vehicle was the Ford Taurus. Sorry, Mike. He's a Chevy guy. Dale Earnhardt was NASCAR's Winston Cup Series champion, and the #1 country song was John Montgomery's I Swear, which, by the way, Mike does not do. Mike has stated his greatest accomplishment, with the assistance of his team, was developing Fleet Services into what it is today. This team has greatly improved the county's fleet with shrewd equipment purchases, in-house technical expertise, effective fiscal management, and sheer talent. The Fleet Services team of only 5 employees continues to service multiple county departments such as Public Works, Health and Human Services, and the Sheriff's Office, along with a few outside agencies. Rain or shine, this fleet team has always been there to keep us running. Through the years, Mike has provided outstanding customer service, formed lasting partnerships and friendships, and established a reputable fleet services shop. But even more importantly, Mike has been a mentor to so many of us. He has graciously guided us through potential landmines in a way that only Mike can do. He is a man of his word, a man of integrity, always, and he is committed to the betterment of the county. Thank you, Mike, for all your sage advice and friendship. You will be thoroughly missed by your customers, your colleagues, and your friends. And thank you, Patty, for sharing Mike with us a couple more years than you expected. You want to say something?
I just want to say thanks. I've enjoyed it. I'm going to miss it, but I'm looking forward to retirement.
So I think I'll ask the public if they would like to come forward, those who know Mike and want to wish him well or say some other things. Please come forward and let's hear what you have to say.
Good morning, Debbie Batista, County Clerk, Auditor, Controller, and also Deputy Purchasing Agent. So Mike is one of the people that just oozes teamwork. What you probably don't know is that for a lot of small departments who don't have the ability to have people who have car knowledge or truck knowledge, Mike would do all the shopping for them and put the POs in and actually pick up their vehicles and bring it to them. The other thing that Mike has helped the county immensely with is all of our county auctions. Mike's there at 6:30, starting up all of the vehicles, making sure they run. He and Matt take all the pictures. We get them online. He helps us with what the pricing should be for the vehicles. And he does all of that on Saturdays, and because he's management, he doesn't get any extra pay. He does get donuts, but that's it. So I truly, over all my years of doing the vehicle auctions with Matt and Julie and Cindy, Mike was there. He was the person that helped our department. He never turned me down. If there was anything vehicle-wise that I needed help with, or I needed some blue book prices to give to the board if we were going to sell something, Mike was there, and all I had to do was call him. So Mike, I'm really appreciate all the help that you've given me. And again, like I say at the auctions, I'm a great accountant and not a very good mechanic. So don't ask me any questions. Ask Mike.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mike Cagnetti, Public Works Road Superintendent and Fleet. I would like to thank Mike for many things this past 9.5 years with working with him. Most of all, the time he would take to explain the differences to me coming from the private sector to the public workforce. And I appreciate that for taking that time. He taught me a lot of things on how to speak now as a public employee to individuals. He would also teach me how to understand the thought process in making decisions on purchasing and personnel issues, and how he was always available for unscheduled counseling and therapy sessions. Mike, you will be missed, and I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you and your guidance. You're not only a friend, but definitely a member of the family. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Janelle Koslovy, the Public Works Business Manager, and I can say I have the honor of saying that I have worked with Mike for 19 years in our department. I am truly going to miss you. I know you're not going to miss the sticky notes or hearing me sing Let It Go to you on occasion, but I greatly appreciate everything that you have done for me. I'm going to try my hardest not to cry. You are a friend, and you've been an amazing coworker, and I'm going to miss you. And Patty, thank you again for letting us keep him and your wonderful family. I can't wait for your new adventure you're about to embark on. So congratulations.
Hi, my name is Jason Crow. I've been with the county so I was hired in 1996, so I've been working with Mike for about 27 years. And I know I've been a pain in your butt at times, Mike, but all that you've taught me from watching you and all that you've taught me, we've worked together. I don't think I probably will realize all the things that I've learned from you probably for a little while after you're gone, when I'll realize and how much you've helped me over the years with stuff I've learned. I had a rough time in my life, and Mike graciously helped me through that, and I'll be forever grateful for those moments that he told me that I would always have a job, and really appreciated that. And thank you so much, Mike, for everything that you've done for Fleet and myself.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Steve Boyack, Health and Human Services Agency. I do have a little statement I would like to present to Mike. So without a doubt, one of the most important partnerships the HHSA has is with our County Fleet Services Program. The HHSA has approximately 75 vehicles, 12 of which are ambulances that are required to be constantly in a state of readiness. There has not been a moment in recent memory whereby the HHSA has considered any other entity to assist us with managing our vehicle fleet except for our County Fleet Management Program, Fleet Services Program. The professionalism and vehicle service delivery model established by Mike is an invaluable service to the HHSA and our operations. So important, he has shared his direct contact information with our senior leadership so that any immediate vehicle challenges are quickly resolved. That is a testament to Mike's leadership and his character qualities. Mike is a kind man, always maintains composure, and is solution-focused. It has been a pleasure to work with him over the years, and so on behalf of the HHSA, we wish for Mike and his family a healthy and restful retirement.
If anybody else is teetering on the idea of coming up to the podium, now would be the time. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to our board. Supervisor Kirk.
A few things. Just looking at you sitting there, I don't know you well, Mike, but you seem like a very, I think Boyack said it well, you seem like a very kind man. And I've been noticing that in a lot more of our leaders, like with Boyack and Rebecca and you. So I think in Tuolumne County, we've been blessed to have you, to have your kindness, like hearing that gentleman's story. It's more than just showing up to work when you have people like you that you report to. So thank you for that. And Patty, is that your name? Thanks for sharing him. There's always a strong woman behind a good man. So thank you and your family, and wish you all the best. And thank you for being here the last couple of years. I know you were on your way out, and I think we grabbed you for a few more years, so I can't believe it's already flown by. But if you want to come back, doors are wide open. So that's it.
Yeah, and I agree very much with Supervisor Kirk's statements. First and foremost, thank you so much to Patty and Mike's family. It's been mentioned that Mike had planned on retiring a little bit earlier, but he chose to stay on longer with the county, and it just is a testament to his desire to see the county successful and see fleet services in a place where it can serve the community. And for those of you who, we haven't really defined what fleet services is. And so for anybody that's not clear on what Mike does, so if you like seeing those snow plows coming down in winter, if you like making sure that, we have potholes filled and that brushing gets done on the roads, Mike and his team are the ones that make sure that those vehicles are on the road and working and serving the public. And so it's something that you're not going to see, you won't necessarily appreciate that kind of work and how important it is and critical to the county unless you don't have it, unless it's not working. Then people notice it. So it's like many other positions in public service. It's one of those things that is so critical and not nearly as appreciated as it should be. And, Mike and I don't think we know each other that well, but most of the conversations and interactions we've had has been about equipment purchases. And the thing that I appreciated about you is you're one of those people that always knows a guy. Like, okay, we needed to get a pothole patching machine, and you're like, but we can't. We had a delay on getting the axles, and we wanted to get a better price, and you're like, I think I know a guy, and sure enough, we got the new pothole patching machine. And I also learned that you're a Chevy guy, and I have a 2006 Duramax diesel, so I'll be calling you with my Chevy-related issues now that I know that piece of information, which I have many. But thank you truly for your service to the county, and you're an example to anyone that wants to make county service a career. I think it's a really good place to be, and you're proof of that. So thank you.
And I'd like to say that I appreciate it when people come to the board and we celebrate them. And you're one of those folks now we get to celebrate. And one of the best things is I get a more well-rounded view of you from hearing from everybody else who's gotten up and spoken so highly about you. I always knew you're a good guy, but I didn't know how good you were until today. And now you're leaving. So The one thing that I don't think I heard is that you now do the law enforcement vehicles, but you didn't always, right? Yeah. And so there must have been something that happened because of your stellar performance that made our sheriff's department decide that they would entrust their vehicles to you rather than whoever they were going to. And I just wanted to bring that up. That's also a testament to your work ethic, the way you build your team, and your team works together to provide the services that we need in order to stay on the road in whatever vehicle we're in, whether it's a sheriff's vehicle or some other. So I want to thank you for that, and I want to thank you for leaving the aura of your leadership, because it's been instilled in the people you work with. I have no doubt about that. And I know we've met the person who's going to be taking over, so he is, boy, he's been gifted with your legacy. And I just so appreciate that. So I want to thank you for your services. I think we need to approve a certificate of recommendation, and then I can come down and give it to you, okay?
So, Chair, I'd like to move that we approve the certificate of appreciation for Richard M. Young, Mike, upon his retirement after 29 years of service with the Fleet Services Division of the Public Works Department.
And I will second.
So it's moved by Supervisor Campbell and seconded by Supervisor Kirk. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. 3-0-0. And so I'll come down now. So what this says is the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors, it's a certificate of appreciation in recognition of Richard, I did not know that was your first name, M. Young. We present this certificate of appreciation for his 29 years of remarkable service to the Department of Public Works, Fleet Services, and Tuolumne County.
On behalf of Public Works, it's my privilege to give you the one and only golden semi-truck for all your years of service here.
Do you want to take it where you don't have light behind you? Yeah, that might, your faces will show up better. All right, I think 29 years deserves a standing ovation. And with that, I think we're done. See you next time, everyone. Thank you.